is the tool that I wanted to show you guys for you to be team's activity was entire hierarchy. You're a DGA, you're an ADM. So this is really kind of it's called the agent assist reporting tool. And, just looking at this, it can be pretty intimidating because there's a lot of things to click on and you're like, holy cow, what is all this? Well, I'm going to walk you through today what I think is the most important to use and understand, because there's a there's a lot of tools that um, there's a lot of tools that you can use on this agent assist reporting tool that there's really no use for it in my opinion, but I mean it can be very intimidating. So I mean, if you want to know something, go on, click on it, figure it out. I mean, but I'm going to show you the stuff that I think is pertinent to you as a manager. So where you're going to access this is when you first log into Propr and you get on your login screen. Where I access it is I've actually got this app saved as a favorite. So I click on apps up at the top right, and it's the very first app, and it says Agent Assist Reporting. If you don't have one that's favorited, you have an option for you to click on View All. You scroll down the entire list of every app that's available. And so Agent Assist Reporting's right there. That's what you would click on. And to favorite it, you would click on that gold star, and those are the ones that pop up. So, um, Stephanie, would you mute yourself, please?
Sorry, I was going to ask you how to favorite.
Yeah, it's real simple. You can actually do it with a bunch of different tools. I mean, just depending on what app. I mean, those are the ones that I've got. I mean, I got a bunch favorited, but anyway, that's how you get to it. And once you click on the Agent Assist Reporting tool, this is what's going to pop up. And it might take a while to load depending on how much information that you've got. Very similar to AIMS, but this is our entire territory's numbers here. And again, don't be intimidated by what you've got seen here, because I'm going to kind of walk through some of this. And let me make sure that we are recording. Okay, cool. So, really honestly, let's say you're wanting to just see given activity in the previous week. So last week was week 38 as it pertains to, you've got different options. Okay, hey, I want to look at showing me everything in the activity that's been completed in the year 2020. You can look at your total yearly activity. You can look at a monthly activity. If I want to see everything that was completed in the month of August, I click the month, and then it'll decipher, what the total activity is of the month, and there's different things that you can look at. But let's say I just wanted to look at last week's activity. So last week's activity would be week 38. So as far as agent assist activity is concerned, the week starts on is actually a Sunday, was the 14th. So that was last week. So when you click on that, it's showing me everything that has been inputted into the Agent Assist app, whether you've claimed something or you've called or you've scheduled an appointment. That's really all that it's showing me here. Okay, it's going to show you things that if it was canceled, there's numerous other things that you can do. You can even narrow it down by a specific day. Let's say you're in a call clinic and you wanted to see how many calls were made on that Monday. You can actually see how many calls were made on the entire Monday or whatever date that you wanted to select. And to go back, all you got to do is unclick it, and it's going to take you back to the previous selection that you had. So now where I'm going to go to is the lead activity tab and the activity tab are very similar in regards to the results or the activity that it actually shows you on the screen. But I'm going to go to the activity tab, and it will automatically remember your settings from a previous tab. If you notice, still got week 38 of 2020. So, but what's important here is most of the stuff that you're going to look at, especially if you're wanting to view your team's activity. So you have to look at this activity status feature here, because right now it is showing me everything that was canceled, or it was something that was scheduled to have happened, maybe an appointment, or maybe I scheduled a phone call. But the key thing that you want to make sure that you select, if you're wanting to look to see what activity was actually completed by maybe your team or your office, is you will want to click on closed. Closed is basically the same thing as completed. So if you click on closed, it's going to show you everything that was logged as being completed or marked as it has happened, it has finished. So one of the things that you want to make sure that you're viewing is, if say a rep, let's say a rep has a first appointment scheduled in a given week and they never go into their app, whether it's on the web version or the mobile version, they never go into their app and put what happened to that appointment, whether they set a DM2 or maybe it was a no-show or whatever the case is. If they don't actually go in and put the result of that appointment, then it will not show that activity was completed or closed. All right. So you may have 17 appointments that were scheduled to have happened, and if it's only showing that 13 of them were closed, that means there's 4 appointments out there that somebody didn't go in and actually put what happened to that appointment. So that's a key metric that you need to make sure that you're clicking. And really, honestly, if I'm just looking at it the whole week, that's all I need to click on. I've got my year right. I've got the week that I want to look at, and I've got, closed activity. So again, I'm on the activity tab. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and you've got different metrics that show you the total number of calls made, and I'm just showing you our entire territories from last week. So we had roughly 220 or 2,200 and some change phone calls that were actually completed, and out of those we spoke to 87 decision makers. And the only deal is with this is it will not show you how many appointments were set on those phone calls. That's a different feature that unfortunately at the moment is not available. It tells you DM1s that are set, but that is referring to how many that were actually scheduled to be ran in week 38. So they may have been set, 3 or 4 weeks ago, but the DM1 set are the ones that were actually scheduled to have happened in the given time period that you selected. So where I want to show you guys is what I work with a lot is really this activity metrics page. Is if, let's say I'm just wanting to look at a given time period. And so, for this entire territory here, you can look at it on here. I actually like exporting it to Excel. It's a little bit easier to view, in my opinion, than on the Agent Assist reporting tool. And I'm going to eliminate some of these tabs here, but this is showing our entire territories here. So just in that last week, it's going to show you really anything and everything that would have occurred in that week. And again, remember, this is closed activity. This is stuff that I know actually happened. It wasn't scheduled to happen. It actually was completed. So it will show you the number of leads that a person abandoned. All right. If they get rid of them, it'll show you the number of calls that were completed. It'll show you how many leads a specific person will have claimed. It will show you how many DM1 appointments were actually scheduled to have been run, which actually this is how many DM1s that were actually completed in this week. So we had 27 appointments that were completed last week. We might have had more set, but there were only 27 that were actually completed, went in and actually logged that activity. 4 appointments, 4 DM2 appointments that were set. We had 18 drops or physical drops. We had 14 emails sent, and we had roughly 2,800 leads that expired. So this is something I like using. It kind of gives you a metric of just showing you kind of a snapshot of maybe a rep or a team's week as it was completed. And so, you can really go investigate if, your rep says they made X number of calls, and go back and actually look and say, well, this is telling me you only completed this amount of calls. And so being able to really hold people accountable and just being in their business and knowing those different things. And if I'm going back to this, you can even, as a DGA, you can break it down by unit. So, let's say John Parsons wanted to go look at, and I'm just going to use Stephanie since he's on the call today, and there's a lot of activity that comes out of her unit. Let's say you just wanted to break it down unit by unit and see what each specific unit's activity was. You can break that down and it'll show you how many calls that her entire team made. And then if you wanted to go look at another team, you could do that as well. So, are there any questions on anything that I've shown thus far or clarifications I need to make? Straightforward and simple. Okay. So the only other thing that I'll mention on this is, just so you guys are aware of what some of these selections are is, let's say you're wanting to, maybe just view calling activity from a given day, maybe, say an appointment setting day, so Friday was the 18th. So let's say I wanted to look at just Friday's activity. I can actually filter it a little bit further to where right now I've got it showing me everything, but I can actually filter it and show me, hey, I only want to see how many phone calls we had. And if you hold down control on your computer, I want to see how many phone calls we had. And um, well, there's actually not a selection for you to see how many decision makers are spoke to here, but maybe that's all I want to see. I just want to see how many phone calls we made just that day to see if it gels up with what maybe a rep told me whenever we're writing it up on the board to write down activity. And it'll also show you how many DMs were spoken to in Agent Assist and those different things. So you can actually filter it even further if you so choose. So if there's not any questions on that, are there any? Nope. Good. All right. So the last thing I'll show you guys is from a working deal perspective. Let's say you're wanting to go see, I'm going to clear out my selections. If you click the top button up here and you hit clear, it'll filter out any selections that you may have had previously. So let's say I'm wanting to go see kind of my working deals. I want to see how my team did this past week running appointments. Okay. So again, I've got to have a time period. I've got to have a given week or a month, or, let's say I wanted to see, okay, I want to look at how many appointments or the appointments that I wanted to see were ran last week. And I want to see what the status of them. So there's two things you can do. If I want to go actually see what the status was of appointments that were completed, again, I want to click closed. And so then I can actually look at the activity meeting type. So, I can filter it where, hey, I only want to look at DM1s right now. So once I do that, okay, I'm going to go to the lead tab, and I could have selected it here as well. So in week 38 of 2020, appointments that were completed, and I'm looking at DM1s. If I go to the lead tab and I scroll down all the way down to the bottom, it's going to show me the list of every single DM1 that was completed and what business. Now, this is showing it for our entire territory. It's got the name of the business, it's got the telephone number, and it's got that number of employees, and it actually shows you at what stage the appointment is at. So if for some reason maybe a lead gets lost, or I hate to say this, let's say a rep, it stops working with us, you'll be able to go in and actually see what appointments they had and who they were with and what dates and all those things. So you could even go and filter it like, hey, I want to see what appointments were ran on Tuesday, September 15th. On my team, I want to see what DM1s were ran on Tuesday. Well, my team had 3 DM1s, and it was with these 3 companies. And if you filter it a little bit further, you can actually see what time those were run. So if I wanted to select on a certain business, let's say Tyler Motor Company, I click on that and I scroll up a little bit, it's actually going to tell me what time that actually occurred. So on Tuesday, the 15th, that appointment actually apparently was ran at 9 a.m. that morning. And so that can just be something that is useful just to go back and check and see how a person's week may have been. And let me find the other thing here. It's not on that tab. Are there any questions about that at all? Okay, so now that was on the lead tab. That's really just a summary of the leads and has the business name, the phone number, so you've got it, and some other information. But even further, if I go back to the activity tab, and again, it's actually kept my selections of the time period, completed activity, DM1s. I can actually go see if I scroll down all the way to the bottom of this page, it's going to show me and break it down rep by rep what appointment they had and it was completed, and it'll actually tell me who they spoke to, the name of the decision maker, and it will have any notes that they actually put in as far as a result of whatever notes that rep or agent or ADM or whoever it is that put that in there. This can be your source of a working deal list. If I'm wanting to go look and see how many DM2s that we had ran last week, which it should be 4 based on the activity completed. Sure enough, we had 4 DM2s. If I want to go down here and actually see, okay, these 4 these 4 DM2s were completed, I want to see what happened to them. Well, there's only one person who put in notes that actually put what happened to them. So, as me as an ADM, I'm going to tell my reps, hey, you need to put in what in the notes that to where you're not really having to have those meetings where you're having to go through each account. Hey, what happened with this one, or what happened with this one? You can really streamline that conversation if your reps are actually putting in their information in the notes. It's really then can turn into a conversation of you already know what's up, and now you can kind of talk about how you're going to approach it because you've already been able to see what notes they put in, what happened on that appointment, if you weren't out there with them. So that's something that can be very beneficial to help streamline some of those working deal meetings that you have each week with your team. And you've got your working deal list right here to where you're not having to get them to write anything down. You've got it right here and you can actually export it and something you can save to a personal file if you so choose. And last thing I'll show is, let's say, I'm going to look at both appointments here and I'm going to take this off of closed. So right now, currently for week 38 of 2020, it's showing me all appointments that were either possibly canceled or completed, or they were scheduled to happen, but maybe they didn't actually go in and actually put what happened to them. So this can be another source of, from an ADM or a DGA standpoint, you can actually go see if your reps have actually went in and actually put that activity. If for some reason there's any activity that was in this given week, say the past week, and they didn't go in and put what happened. So for instance, I'm just going to use the very first one here. We had an agent that had a DM1 appointment with, I'm not even, it looks like just abbreviation, but we had a DM1 appointment. And if you notice, the activity is scheduled. So this appointment may or may not have happened, but it was scheduled to have happened in this week. But if you notice, it doesn't say closed. So I don't really know as a manager what actually happened on this appointment. Did it cancel? Was it completed? What was the result of it? Those are things that, I could then go tell my agent, hey, you need to go put in and put what happened, what happened with this group or what happened with this group. Or if there was a possible appointment that was actually canceled and somebody inputted it there, you would see that, hey, it canceled. And if there were any notes put in there, hey, why did it cancel? They can put that in there. That's stuff that you can all be in the know as a manager without actually having to go ask line by line by line. Because if your reps are putting this in there as they should be, all those problems are solved. So any questions about that? Or clarifications? Okay. Last thing I'm going to show you guys is a very similar, let's say, for instance, this week. So week 39, which is the current week that we're in. So the Monday or the Sunday of 9/21 and that given week. Let's say I wanted to go see what appointments that my reps have scheduled this week. And I know a lot of offices will have them maybe write down what appointments they've got coming up, and so we kind of just know what their schedule is going to be, or they use a shared calendar, and being able to, or like say Google Calendar, so everybody kind of knows what everybody's appointments are and where they're at. Well, there actually is a update on the way from a manager's perspective where there's going to be a shared calendar for a manager perspective to where you're going to be able to go view your daily plan in Agent Assist and be able to see what appointments your reps in your hierarchy have on those same days. It's going to work very similar to the way Google Calendar operates, where you're going to be able to see what everybody's activity is and what appointments and where they're going to be at. But this is something that you can actually go do at the current moment. So let's say this week, and I've got DM1 and DM2 selected. I want to go see what appointments do we have scheduled? What appointments do we have scheduled for this week? Which some of these, there may not be a ton of these just because we're already to Thursday, and some of those scheduled appointments that were set to happen this week may have already been moved over to close if the rep has went and actually put what happened. So for instance, there's actually quite a few appointments here that are scheduled that doesn't look like those appointments have been in and been logged in. But let's say just for today. So today's Thursday, September 24th. If me as a manager, I'm wanting to know, hey, where my reps are at, what appointments they have today, I can then, break it down by a specific agent if I chose to go see, hey, I want to go see what person XYZ schedule is. You click on all that, and you're going to be able to see what appointments that they have scheduled for the day. So one specific person, you'll be able to see, all right, well, it looks like they've got Rita Kaiser's got a DM2 with this group. I click on it, and then I'm going to be able to see, okay, it actually looks like it's going to be at 1400 hours. So that's at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So those are just things that you can actually, again, be in the know what your schedule of your people is. So, just where they're at and what they're doing. So, to check up on them and those different things. But those are really, honestly, the main two topics of discussion as far as agent assist reporting goes, is being able to pull some of that lead activity, but then also being able to look at some of your working deal activity and seeing the schedule. And there's actually these other dates or these other tabs, I would encourage you to go on and just kind of play around with it. But really what I've shown you this morning is what I find to be the most useful on a day-to-day, week-to-week usage as a manager. But has there been anybody that actually uses this or has used the agent assist reporting tool in this regard and use it as such as I've kind of shown? No. Okay. Well, now maybe hopefully you can. So, are there any questions at all about anything that I've covered or clarifications, anything at all?
Nathan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I use it, but I didn't realize that I could see quite as much detail. So going back to that last screen that you just showed us, were you saying that Abby's appointments and stuff, they still show scheduled, so she hasn't updated all of her DM1s and stuff like that, right?
Well, let's go back and look at it. So let me share
Sorry,
my screen again. No, you're fine. That's
trying
what this
not
is
to
for.
interrupt again.
No, that's what this is for. This is a back and forth discussion. So let me clear out some of this activity. So let's say for you, Stephanie, I'm wanting to go see. All right, so John Parsons, and then Stephanie. Where did I pass it? I think I did.
Because I think it showed that all of her stuff was still scheduled, but I know she ran some of those appointments.
Okay, so on this week 39, let's say we're going to look at Abby stuff. So if you notice, it's not even going to allow me to click canceled. It's kind of
And
gray. That
yeah,
means there are no appointments that she's had that's canceled. She evidently, at the given moment for this week, she has appointments that she has completed, and there have been appointments that are actually still scheduled to have happened, or she hasn't gone in and put what happened to those. So
okay.
we'll look at the closed first. So, you know, and I filtered it down all the way down to Abby. So the closed appointments, and if you notice, let me go back and unclick that. So you see how I have got the DM1 and the DM2 already pre-selected as of right
Okay.
now. As soon as I hit closed, you notice the DM2 goes away because evidently there are no DM2s that she has completed as far as Agent Assist is concerned. So if I scroll all the way down, it looks like she's had 3 DM1s that she has. Oops, I'm in the wrong tab. I'm in the lead tab. So the activity tab, it looks like she's had 4 DM1s that have been completed, or that activity is closed. Now, regardless of whatever happened to those, who knows? And
Can
now
you
we're not.
scroll down because your little bars right in the way?
Let me minimize my screen here. I don't know why it's doing that. A little bit easier to see.
Yes.
Okay, so um, I'm not sure why it's doing that, but so yeah, so down here she's got 4 appointments. It looks like, and those 4 are closed. Shows who she spoke to, and now if I go back, and instead of closed, I'm going to unclick that. I'm going to click, okay, well, let's see how many she's got scheduled for this week. So going back down, it looks like she's got 3 more that are scheduled. So Jimmy Brown's breaking tire, and then these other 2 DM2. She's got 2 DM2s that are scheduled, and 1 DM1 that is evidently scheduled. So I can actually go back and look at the days that those 3 coincide with. So it looks like there was either an appointment or some appointments yesterday on the 23rd that
Right.
are still showing as scheduled, which means she hasn't went in and put what happened to it. So if I click on
Okay.
that day and I go down, looks like there were 2 DM2s yesterday that she has not gone in and put what happened to those
Okay.
DM2s.
So they're just
So
not
as soon
updated.
as she does that, it'll then move over to closed activity.
Okay.
And as far as today's concerned, she probably, I guess, has 1 DM1, and there it is.
Okay.
So,
She's at
so
enrollments right now, so
yeah. So, all right,
it's
perfect.
making money.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So, do you have any other questions, Steph? I think Shane, you had one, didn't you?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay. So, well, really, that's it, guys. I can tell you this. It really, from a working deal list perspective, if you get your agents to use their notes and really truly use it as a CRM system that allows you to go in, put all those notes and all those different things, you guys as managers can really be in the know of what's going on with your accounts without actually, and I'm not saying, this is going to eliminate you talking to your agents anymore, which is not good, but you definitely, it's going to allow you to kind of be in the know. And whenever those end of the week meetings come up on Friday and you're going through your working deals, you've already got that stuff pulled. You've got the spreadsheet pulled. You've got everything ready to go. So now it's just a conversation. You're not having to go type anything in. You should already have it. And now it's going to be like, hey, all right. So, if you want any further detail on it, now it's going to be like you already kind of have an idea of what happened. Maybe if you didn't talk to him yesterday or Wednesday or whatever, it can really streamline that conversation. But secondly, it can really help you. Unfortunately, y'all know in this business we have some attrition that there are people that start and they have these appointments and those different things. Well, now if you get your people to update their stuff like they need to, if for some reason they decide that the Colonial is not the opportunity for them anymore, as long as they put this information in to the system and they show that this activity was completed, you're always going to have that information. Even if they delete the leads and abandon them, it's going to show that they completed an appointment on this day and this time and what happened to it, as long as that information is being put in. So that it will allow you or another agent or somebody to be able to go follow up on that group if for some reason that happens, and you guys actually know what happened. If for some reason, somebody just completely ghosts us and doesn't give us any information about what happened on their appointments and those different things. So if you use it the right way, it can be very functional and be very useful to help just keep you organized and be in the know of what's going on in your business. So any other questions about anything, or
Perfect.
simple enough?
Simple
All
enough.
right. All right. Well, appreciate you guys being on, and I'll be sending out this recording to you guys if y'all need to look back at it further. And if you guys ever have any questions about this, y'all give me a shout.
All right. Will you send
All
me
right.
that other script?
Yeah, I will.
Just a reminder. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. See you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.